David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Breaking tonight, a painful morning commute is looming with the nation's biggest commuter railroad shut down, and the news just coming in about a mid-air crash at an air show. We begin with the strike that could ruin the morning rush for hundreds of thousands in the New York City area. Service has shut down on the Long Island Railroad. For some commuters, a 90-minute trip may stretch to 3 hours. The governor is appealing to restart talks.
We all know that the railroad is the lifeblood of Long Island. Without it, life as we know it is simply not possible.
And what happens if the strike extends into the Memorial Day weekend? That mid-air crash, 2 Navy jets collide at an air show. 4 parachutes open as the crews eject. What we know at this hour. Also tonight, severe storms in the plains and Midwest. It's day 2 of a multi-day outbreak. Soaring temperatures in the east, but a big change is expected for the holiday weekend. Our weather team times it all out. Breaking news from Austin, Texas. Multiple shootings, possibly random. Police are urging residents to stay vigilant. Another cruise ship passenger has tested positive for the hantavirus. It's the 11th confirmed case, with dozens being monitored for possible exposure. And new concern about Ebola. The World Health Organization declares a public health emergency in 2 African countries. New video from a frightening incident in Italy. Bystanders tackle a man accused of driving into a crowd. Several people injured. What we're learning about the driver and his past. Mayhem at the mall. Pepper spray deployed on crowds. Stores closed amid the crush of customers. The frenzy over a new watch. What the company is saying tonight. Plus, the moment a speeding train slams into a truck, green liquid spews onto the street. Why authorities were so concerned. Going the distance, the Buffalo Sabres' furious rally. Now it's on to Game 7. And America strong tonight. He finally gets to wear a cap and gown 6 decades after answering his country's call. And Pope Leo's unexpected gesture that had the kids cheering.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. We begin with day 2 of the strike at the country's largest commuter rail system and fears for the Monday morning commute. Saturday morning, more than 3,000 workers walked off the job after months of negotiations. The unions and the MTA unable to reach a deal. Now frustrated commuters are scrambling to find alternative transportation. The Long Island Railroad serves hundreds of thousands of riders each day. This weekend, train stations stood like ghost towns, platforms eerily still, with signs warning no passengers, with the strike bringing the rhythm of the rails to a halt. New York's governor is now urging unions to resume negotiations, saying a long strike hurts workers and commuters. A New York official estimates the strike could cost the region up to $61 million a day in lost revenue. ABC's Morgan Norwood leads us off tonight from New York's Penn Station.
When we fight, we win!
Chaos and confusion spreading tonight after a massive rail strike on the busiest commuter rail in the country leaves more than 250,000 riders without a way into New York City to start the work week. Frustrated passengers arriving to empty terminals.
We have to do something to get to our house.
The walkout starting just after midnight Saturday after months of negotiations between the MTA and unions representing some 3,500 rail workers collapsed. In a statement, the MTA saying our last offer literally gave them everything they said they wanted in terms of pay, but they rejected even that. And the unions representing the LIRR saying this strike would not have happened if the MTA and LIRR offered our members the reasonable terms the government recommended multiple times. Negotiations stalling over a pay increase between 4.5% and 5%, along with health care costs.
The railroad is the lifeblood of Long Island. Without it, life as we know it is simply not possible.
Today, Governor Hochul urging both sides to get back to the table. But the unions claim they haven't heard from the MTA on when those talks could resume.
How am I going to get back to the Bronx from Long Island?
The expansive commuter rail system operates 24/7 and also serves 126 stations across more than 300 route miles on 700 miles of track. The state's comptroller estimating the strike could cost the region up to $61 million per day in lost revenue. Blacked out screens, tracks closed down, and now Monday morning, just hours away, a growing number of questions about whether the MTA's limited shuttle bus service will be able to handle the influx of thousands of stranded passengers.
I paid $394 a month. It better be a seamless transaction for me to receive a refund.
Other riders turning to costly ride shares.
And I Ubered for $112.
And with Memorial Day weekend just ahead, the strike also threatens a critical artery out of New York City. And Lindsay, tonight we are seeing more workers join the picket lines. This is Penn Station. And Lindsay, just into ABC News just moments ago, the National Mediation Board calling both sides to the negotiation table as soon as this evening in order to hammer out a deal ahead of tomorrow's busy Monday morning commute, Lindsay.
Hopefully they can get back to that table, Morgan. Thank you. Now to breaking news. 2 Navy jets colliding midair during an air show. 4 parachutes opened as the crews ejected and plumes of black smoke filling the air. The Idaho Air Force Base was locked down and the air show canceled. Here's ABC's Melissa Adan.
Tonight, a shocking mid-air collision during an air show at Mountain Home Air Force Base outside of Boise, Idaho. Watch as the pair of naval jets, 2 Navy EA-18G Growlers, appear to collide just 2 miles northwest of the base. A harrowing scene of sparks and debris flying as the jets descend. 4 parachutes immediately deploying, the air crews ejecting from the aircraft. The jets crashing to the ground, erupting into a massive plume of smoke. The 4 aviators' parachutes continuing their deployment in front of the smoke and wreckage. As onlookers watched, an announcer heard speaking about the safety parachutes.
There have been 4 good parachutes that we're seeing, and we ask that everyone remain where you are.
The incident prompting a lockdown on the base. Lindsay, police officially canceling the air show as an investigation is now underway. The U.S. Navy saying the crew members all ejected successfully. Lindsay.
Glad to hear that, Melissa. Thank you. Now to the severe weather outbreak threatening millions in the Midwest and the Plains. That system is bringing a dangerous combination of thunderstorms, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Let's get right to meteorologist Dani Beckstrom from our New York station, WABC. Good evening to you, Dani. What's the timing on this?
So the severe stretch continues in the Plains, but the threat level is actually higher tonight, Lindsay, because of the risk for tornadoes. So we have 5 states under a tornado watch right now. Warnings already issued, a confirmed tornado already in Nebraska. By the time we wake up tomorrow morning, that line then moves from, it looks like St. Louis to Chicago, a messy Monday morning commute. Then the atmosphere recharges in the afternoon and evening. That brings in a level 4 out of 5 risk in the heartland, especially for intense tornadoes shaping up to be a really dangerous Monday. West of the storms, it's all about the fire danger. We have red flag warnings from California to Kansas. It is very dry. It is very windy. It is very hot. And that heat is now shifting east to start the work week. We're looking at near record highs from Raleigh up through Boston. That is a stretch of early season 90-degree days, but it does not last into the holiday weekend. We're looking at a dramatic drop in temperature into Monday, highs in the 60s in New York City for the holiday, Lindsay.
So many people were hoping that this weekend weather would be next weekend.
I know.
Dani, thank you. And now to that breaking news out of Austin, Texas. Police are searching for a suspect allegedly involved in multiple random shootings across several locations. Just moments ago, 2 suspects were taken into custody. Let's bring in ABC's Alex Stone. Alex, what are you learning tonight?
Well, Lindsay, we're just learning of the arrests that have been made. Police in Austin saying there have been 10 shootings in the last 24 hours, 2 of them at fire stations. They believe the shootings have been at random. 4 victims have been shot. Police say multiple vehicles stolen. Police were looking for 2 teenagers. They say they just made those 2 arrests. 1 more remains on the run. Residents around the shooting were being told to shelter in place, and everyone in Austin to remain vigilant tonight. Lindsay.
All right, Alex, thank you. Now to the war with Iran. President Trump issuing yet another warning to Tehran, writing, quote, "For Iran, the clock is ticking. Negotiations between the countries to end the nearly 3-month-old war have reached a stalemate." Here's ABC's Alex Perchet.
Tonight, as a fragile ceasefire holds, President Trump renewing his threats to Iran, saying the clock is ticking. In a social media post, Trump saying, quote, "They better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them." Trump's warning coming after the UAE says it repelled a drone strike at a nuclear plant. something authorities there called an unprovoked terrorist attack. Last week, the president meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump says the two agreed Iran must reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
I can say this with very, very strong conviction. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Not going to happen.
Trump's China summit ending as the Kremlin announced that Vladimir Putin is planning his own summit with Xi this week. Putin, who has claimed his war could be coming to an end, intensifying his attacks on Ukraine. And overnight, Ukraine responding, deploying a barrage of drones on Moscow, the largest assault of its kind in more than a year. A drone hitting this apartment building. Moscow officials say one woman was killed when her home was hit, rescuers scouring debris for another person. In all, at least 4 people were killed across Russian regions. Moscow's mayor saying at least 12 were injured, most near this oil refinery.
And Lindsay, tonight the president posted an AI image of himself at a command center with a finger on a bright red button. Lindsay?
Ominous words there from the president. Alex, thank you. A rare strain of the Ebola virus is suspected of causing at least 80 deaths in the Congo and Uganda. Hundreds more may be infected. The UN's health organization has now declared a global emergency. Let's bring in ABC's Alex Perez on that. And Alex, I know you also have news about that deadly hantavirus outbreak. What's the latest?
Well, Lindsay, as of Friday, 18 passengers remain here under observation at the University of Nebraska's biocontainment unit. Now, Canada has confirmed, authorities there have confirmed that a Canadian citizen who was also on the cruise ship has tested positive for hantavirus. Now, the CDC says there have been no confirmed hantavirus cases in the U.S. connected to that cruise ship outbreak. In all, there have been 11 confirmed hantavirus cases linked to the MV Handia ship. 3 people have died. All this as authorities with the World Health Organization have declared the deadly Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concern. Under President Trump, the U.S. pulled out of the World Health Organization. And Lindsay, the CDC says the risk to the American public remains low. Lindsay?
All right, Alex, thank you. And we have dramatic new images tonight of that terrifying car ramming on a busy street in Italy. Several people were seriously injured. Video posted on Facebook shows 4 men tackling the alleged driver to the ground. Authorities say this was not a terror attack. ABC's Marcus Moore has the details.
Tonight, 4 people remain in critical condition as new images capture the horror that unfolded in the small city of Modena in northern Italy. Video posted on X showing a silver car speeding down the street and onto a sidewalk Saturday afternoon. The car hitting and injuring 8 people, including 2 victims who had to have their legs amputated, according to Italian prosecutors. Witnesses chased the alleged driver, who authorities now say is a man in his 30s who was born in Bergamo, outside of Milan. Video posted on Facebook by a local politician showing the moment bystanders tackled the driver, who witnesses said was carrying a knife. Police arrived later and took the man into custody. This witness telling reporters, "I was trying to help the woman whose legs had been amputated. He ran away, so I chased him." Italy's prime minister and president both visiting survivors in the hospital today and thanking a good Samaritan who intervened. Georgia Maloney writing on X, "What makes an ordinary person heroic is the moment when the heart chooses to do good, even when that involves a risk." Tonight, there were unanswered questions about the incident and a possible motive.
Lindsay, investigators have been working to develop a profile on the driver, who's 31 years old and was born in Italy. Authorities saying there's no evidence to suggest this was an act of terror. Lindsay.
Marcus, thank you. Now to the Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy losing his primary race on Saturday. This comes 5 years after he voted to convict President Trump on an impeachment charge after the January 6th Capitol riot. President Trump today is taking a victory lap. Here's ABC's Olivia Rubin.
Tonight, a resounding defeat for Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, ousted by his own party 5 years after he voted to impeach President Trump for inciting the January 6th attack.
Our country is not about one individual.
Cassidy supported much of Trump's agenda, even casting a key vote to confirm HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But Trump seeking revenge, urging his party to reject the Louisiana senator he called disloyal. Trump celebrating the results, writing, "It's nice to see that his political career is over." It's the first time a sitting senator has lost a primary in over a decade. Cassidy coming in last amongst 3 candidates. In first place, the candidate Trump endorsed, Julia Letlow, now heading to a runoff.
Thank you, Louisiana!
With more primaries on Tuesday, Trump now calling for the defeat of another Republican foe, Thomas Massie, who he calls the worst Republican congressman in history. Massie drawing Trump's ire after voting against his so-called Big Beautiful Bill and spearheading the effort to release the Epstein files. But tonight, he still insists he can win what is now the most expensive House primary race ever.
I've had millions of dollars come in from the grassroots, and that's how we're going to beat them.
And Lindsay, with Cassidy now gone, just 3 of the 17 Republican members of Congress who voted to impeach the president remain. The rest have retired or lost their seats, all a striking reminder of the dominance President Trump still holds over his party. Lindsay.
So many will be watching how this all plays out. Olivia, thank you. Now to the global chaos triggered by a limited edition watch collaboration. Police were called in to break up fights between shoppers outside a store in Milan. Here in New York City, police used pepper spray to control an unruly crowd. Let's bring in ABC's Perry Russell now. So, Perry, explain this mayhem across Europe and the U.S.
Yeah, chaotic scenes all across the world, forcing Swatch to close some of these stores down temporarily. This was the scene outside New York City. Massive crowds showing up, long lines stretching into the parking garage where police appear to use pepper spray. This is a violent scene here in Milan, Italy. Look right here. Video shows one man being shoved to the ground, another one picking up a chair. This is all for a rare pocket watch made in collaboration by Swatch and Audemars Piguet, luxury brand. In the stores, Swatch is selling them for about $400, but online, they're being resold for thousands. In a statement, Swatch says, "We kindly ask you not to rush our stores in large numbers to acquire this product." The company says the collection will be available for several months, Lindsay.
Just remarkable there. All right, Perry, thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, including the dangerous search for divers who vanished several days ago. And a train slams into a truck. What was on that truck that had authorities so concerned? Next tonight, a perilous mission in the Maldives. Finnish divers have now joined the search for the bodies of 4 Italian divers. On Saturday, the search was temporarily suspended after a local diver died during the recovery operation. On Thursday, 5 divers vanished during what authorities call an unauthorized deep dive. 1 body has been recovered. Shocking video from Chesapeake, Virginia, captured the moment a locomotive slammed into a truck at a grade crossing. That truck was carrying a septic tank, and a green liquid was seen oozing from the tank. A hazmat team was brought in to clean up the spill. The truck driver suffered serious injuries. Police say he failed to observe a stop sign before trying to cross the tracks. When we come back, the Pope's unexpected gesture that had some kids cheering. To the index now, and a great playoff series is going the distance. The Montreal Canadiens led 3-1 last night before the Buffalo Sabres came storming back to even the series at 3 games apiece. Game 7 is tomorrow night. You can watch it on ESPN. It's a viral gesture that kids love. Parents, not so much. And now it's spread to the Vatican. Several young people were seen teaching the 6-7 hand gesture to Pope Leo, and he performed it right back. Despite the papal endorsement, we are still no closer to understanding what it means. Next, commencement at LSU. Among the graduates, Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, already a PhD. He received his 2nd master's degree in liberal arts. He arranged to be introduced as Shaquille I Hate Charles Barkley O'Neal. He was just kidding, of course. They remain buddies on Inside the NBA. When we come back, one graduate's dream come true 6 decades later. Finally, America strong. For years, he wore the uniform, but now he's traded it for a cap and gown. Graduation day at Georgia Institute of Technology was not simply a ceremony for 88-year-old Colonel Ken Grunborg.
Today, we are honored to have him here to cross our commencement stage.
In 1960, just as he was set to receive his bachelor's degree in civil engineering, the Army called him to serve in Korea. 6 years later, as he prepared to complete his master's degree, another call, Vietnam.
You, sir, are 60 years late to your graduation ceremony. Yes, sir.
I understood that when they had a
an opening or a need, that took precedence over me walking.
For decades, his service became the story. But on this day, the unfinished moment finally caught up with him.
The gratitude is beyond words, that finally I got to do something I had missed.
After 60 years of answering his country's call, on this day, America finally got the chance to applaud him back. About time. Thanks for watching. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.